Hi, everybody. Welcome.
How are you? Welcome to Liver and La.
It's at home.
At home, yeah. My name is Shafeeq.
I'm Hannah.
And today we welcome you to our live broadcast of Sepet The Musical at home. Now, before we begin, I just have to say that the creation of Sepet The Musical has been the most amazing thing and such a humbling experience for Hannah and myself.
Very true.
And also the whole cohort of people, very special people, that I'm going to introduce you today. Are you ready?
So before we start, just a couple of things. We want to make this as interactive as possible because we're aware that you may have lots of questions about how a musical was created. So please comment on YouTube or on Facebook, anything you want to know in particular, and we will do our best to get through them and speak to specific members of the cast for you.
Of course, here's a nice tangent. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram for more amazing content. Are you ready?
I am now. Let's go.
The first person I'm going to have to introduce you to is Ms. Badrika.
Hello. Hello. How are you?
How
are you, Badrika?
I'm great. So excited for this. I hope everyone's so excited too.
Yeah.
Badrika, we miss you so much.
And I miss you guys too. I miss the whole team. And I'm just so glad to see you guys.
We're glad to see you too.
Can you believe I'm already feeling emotional?
I know.
So me too. I'm overwhelmed right now. Okay,
Who do you play in the musical?
I am Orchid.
Who's Orchid?
So Orchid is this very headstrong girl, and she believes so much in all the things that she wants to do. She's the unconventional Malay girl that goes out there and gets what she wants, but she's also very gentle and very kind, and she just wants to love, and she just believes in the innocence of love and friendship. And she loves her family very much, just like I love you guys.
Stop it.
She's a great character. She is.
All right, we'll say bye to you temporarily. Adieu.
See you soon.
The next person, before we get to the male protagonist, the next person I'm going to introduce you to is Mr. Badrish. Hi, Badrish.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Well.
We're fab. Better now we're talking to you.
Yay.
Do you want to give a brief overview of your role within the musical?
So I was the composer of Sepet the Musical, and I worked alongside Shaf in writing the music. And honestly, it was one of the greatest experiences. It was my first time composing for a musical. And I'm really thankful to Shaf, honestly, for tagging me along in this journey. And it was such a good experience for me, honestly.
Oh. You know, Badrish, before we even get into the meat of the show, I just to say composing music to you was such an honor. You are 18 years old. Are you 19 now or are you 18?
I'm 19. I just turned 19.
I think he's 18. But
no!
That music and lyrics that's beyond his ears. All right. I'm going to say bye to you, Badrish. All right, and now we're going to say, I think we're having a little bit of a lag, but I will introduce you to the protagonist of the show, Mr. Joshua Gui.
Hello. It's pretty dark here, isn't it?
Hi,
Josh.
Josh.
It doesn't matter. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hi, Joshua. We can hear you.
There's a bit of a lag.
It's all good.
How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. The MCU has done me well. I've done a lot of tidying at home.
So explain to us your role in Sepet the Musical.
So I play the male protagonist, Jason, who is the love interest to Orchid. Basically the other race within the relationship issue. Yeah, essentially that's it.
And what do you think of Jason? Like, what do you think of him as a character?
A little bit conflicted. I mean, he is very idealistic. That's one thing. He is idealistic, but at the same time, also, he understands the condition of where he is in the community. But then he always wants to strive for the ideal, whereby things can happen if you put your mind and you put your heart into it, basically. And that's when and when meeting Orchid, meeting someone sort of like-minded like him was a breath of fresh air in that society.
Yeah. Joshua, this was the first time we got to work together, and it was such an amazing experience for us, really.
Yeah, it was a
Thank
great
you.
amazing experience to me too.
Yeah. All right, bye, Josh. We've got one more person for you to meet. Who is he?
Drum roll, everybody.
Mr. Wai Leong!
Hi.
How's it going, everyone?
Wai Leong, can I just say that you look so cool in your
Look at this soundproof.
Right now, or
Yeah.
show?
It's like you streaming on Twitch.
Thanks. This is actually my teaching setup, but yeah. How's it going?
So, Wai Leong, tell us a little bit about your role in Sepet The Musical.
I play the guitar in the musical. The character, the guitar, not the instrument. Yeah, it's a very tough role, The guitar as a character, he has a lot of emotions and he has to drive the show. I'm just kidding. I play guitar and I
You're
read
not
notes.
kidding.
And also, I think you're being a bit modest because you also musically directed the whole thing.
Yeah, I did the scores for everything, and also the vocal harmonies for the actors. That's about it. Yeah.
Amazing. Wai Leong, it was we worked together before many times, but to actually work with you more intimately and with a project like this was awesome. So thank you. All right, guys, I think we're gonna dig into the show. Are we ready? Let me bring everyone back in.
Hey.
Hi, guys. Hello, everybody.
Everyone say hi.
Hi.
Okay, so we have some comments from Melissa Teo. Hello, Badrish.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
From Dennis. Hi, Badrish.
Hi, Dennis.
From Melissa Teo. Hi, Badrika.
Hi.
Hi, Joshua. Lighting.
Yes, I'm fixing my light here, as you can see.
Good.
Come on,
This
Josh.
is how agile he is, He just gets a note, takes it.
Mr. Ron from Singapore. Greetings across the causeway. Jason King.
Hi.
And my dad, Shasha.
Hello.
Hello, Shafeeq and Hannah.
Yay.
Thank you for tuning in.
And also, guys, Mommy Muller, who designed the set, is also watching. So, hi, Mommy.
Hi.
Are we ready?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
So now we're about to share the screen as well. So you should be able to see the actual video playing and then also the actors and crew down the side. So you should get a nice matrix on your screen.
Well, it's not really a matrix. It's like a grid.
Okay. Technicalities.
Okay.
Wow. Jeez.
She's a math twit.
Here you go.
We will start with Mr. Joshua. Oh wait, let me fix the audio. Bum, 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 bum. Share audio. Are you ready?
There is a question from Melissa. Should we answer it now or later?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so she asks, in carving out your characters, how much did the film affect your choices? Badrika, go.
Yeah, I mean, the movie did play a part in shaping my character, but I also had different influences. And I think at this point, it was like all of us working together and the conversations we had, and Josh, you and I having conversations as Jason and Orchid and as you and I, it just played a part. Like it just came together. The two worlds just combined. But I've watched the movie since I was like a little girl, and I love Sepet. So Yeah, in a way, Orchid shaped me in the beginning, and then Shaf helped me bring in other elements into it. And then Hannah, Wai Leong, Josh, Badrish, we did it together.
Yeah. As for myself, I admit I didn't watch the movie until I actually got the call saying, "Hey, would you like to do Sepet the Musical?" And also, and coming up from a background where I'm from a small town back in Penang, you have absolutely no
Hey,
would you like exposure musical, and also, and coming up from a background where I'm from a small town back in Penang, you have
it's
absolutely no
hey,
would you like exposure musical.
all right.
And also, and coming up from a background where I'm from a small town back in Penang, you have
it's
absolutely no would you like exposure musical.
Yeah, you
All
might
right.
want to switch off the.
And also, and from a background where I'm from a small town back in Penang, you have
We'll just wait
absolutely
for the mic to finish. It's been muted.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
Go on,
off
Josh.
the.
And also, from a
Okay.
background where I'm from a small town
Well,
back in Penang.
coming
Sure,
from
go on.
a small town back in Penang, we never had much exposure to local TV, and coming from
Go on.
parents who are not like very
From
pushy.
a background
So
where small town back in Penang, we never had
watching it, yes, it does affect me a lot in the
local
sense that yes, I do see a part of me in Jason coming from a small town as well. But I think ultimately was really bringing what I understand behind the essence of Jason. Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure how much you guys heard that. But I only watched the movie when I think I'll shop movie for the show. I understand. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure how much you guys heard that. But I only watched the movie when I think I'll shop movie for the show. I understand. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure how much you guys heard that. But I only watched the movie when I think I'll shop movie for the show. I understand. Okay.
I think it's just us now, Josh. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Brilliant.
Great. Okay,
Why
so
don't you summarize what you said? For in case I
okay.
didn't hear it.
Long
leave
story
after
short,
me.
I watched the movie only when Shaf called me to do to basically audition for Sepet. And I think what resonated in a sense is because both Jason is from a small town. I mean, not a small town, it is Ipoh. But it's in a sense that the society that he was brought up in was very similar to what I was what I was brought up in as well. So taking that essence of where he came from and his relationship with his family and his situation, it's just planting myself in there basically rather than rather than picking what the original actor in the movie did. And from there, Shaf and I discussed about it and see how we can direct the story in the same line of which is of his direction, and also staying true to Yasmin's vision basically. Yeah.
Cool.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, I think authenticity became a really big thing when we were going forward with Sepet the Musical, because it's so difficult to take such an important and critical part of Malaysian cinematic history, and adapt it. And we talk a little bit about this in our podcast, Finding Fabulous.
Which is available on Spotify and Apple Music. And as we keep kind of reiterating, we wanted to make sure that we didn't took anything away. We purely built on what was already there within Yasmin's cinematic vision. Yasmin's cinematic vision.
随你怎么说他，我清楚孩子的缺点。Say what you like
Yasmin's
of him,
cinematic vision.
but I know my child's feelings. 我不是因为他好而爱他，而是因为他怎么说他，我清楚
I don't love
孩
it
子的
because
缺
she's
点。
good.
But because it's my child.
Say what you like
Yasmin's
of him.
cinematic vision.
当你把我买超讲他的有缺点时，我不是因为他好而爱他，而是因为你怎么说他，我清楚
I don't love
孩
it
子的
because
缺
she's
点。
good.
Because when I make him weak, it's my child.
Say what you like
Yasmin's
of him.
cinematic vision.
当你把我买超讲他的有缺点时，我不是因为他好而爱他，而是因为你怎么说他，我清楚
I don't love
孩
it
子的
because
缺
she's
点。
good.
Hi.
Hi, long time no see.
I think in the meantime, while they figure it out, we can answer some questions. We got a question from
Yep.
Jason, right? About how did we shut out everything and stay in character?
Mhm.
You want to go first?
Okay, fine.
You
I'll
put
go
me on
first
the
this time. I think it's really not about shutting out everything, and I think it's not shutting out everything. It's basically putting I think it's more about being empathetic to what the surrounding is, because I mean we are performing in a very close proximity with the audience, and so whatever that the audience feeds us, you know, it's being empathetic to what they are feeding us, and from there reacting as the character. So the homework behind the character is to really understand the backstory, understand where the character is coming from, and then empathize from there rather than being the character. You know, you empathize that character and how you put yourself into that situation, and from that circumstance, like this, I mean, at the end of the day, we are who we are, shaped from our experiences, correct? So if these are the experiences of the character, how would these experiences then affect you as a person and as an actor, and used from there as a launching pad, and then and then being empathetic to what's surrounding you and what's given to you live on stage. Yeah,
I totally agree, Josh. Empathy is key, and we did spend a lot of time pre-show sitting down and taking a moment, stay calm, and then getting into the world of Sepet. And I think energy is also an important part of it. I think we sat down and really channeled in who we are as Jason and Orchid. And when we step into the space, it's always like going into a new world all over again. And since it's a very close, very small space, very intimate, you could feel the energy of other people, and it resonates in the room, and we bounce it off each other as well. I think you can agree with that, right, Josh?
yeah, totally. I mean, I'm very glad that to have you as my scene partner, because it was so easy to work with you and to bounce off you. And okay, that sounds physically wrong, but
no, I feel this. We're like, you are the best, to have by my side, and I think we just support each other so well.
I think that's a question from. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me? I think we've solved our technical issues.
Yeah, cool. We were just answering some questions as well.
Okay, cool. So I think there's another question about exclusivity and limiting only audiences to 80 people.
Mhm.
So do you fear that limiting to having only 80 members of the audience makes the production a little too exclusive and not accessible, considering the fact that Sepet is influential in Malaysia? I think that's a really good question, Ron, and thank you so much for asking that question. So it's really funny because I feel like actually our production of Sepet the Musical was a highly inclusive experience. We saw loads of people from different walks of life, from different Malaysians, you know, hijabis, non-hijabis, all races, all languages, all demographic profiles come and watch the show. Unlike actually any other theatrical experience we've put on before. And I think that was what's so magical about it. And yes, maybe it was a very small group of people, but the reason why we had to start small because it was really important for us to make sure that we got it right? Like we didn't want to, because it was so influential and such a big part of the Malaysian cinematic legacy, we didn't want to screw it up. So we wanted to test it, and that's why we started small with just 2 characters. Do you think that's right, Badrika, Joshua? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah. I think also, like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think the which also kind of okay, the theme of the whole show is also basically the romance between forbidden love per se, and I think centering around that only requires a smaller a smaller intimate setting comparatively to something that's bigger. So if that's the only thing that and it's written, I'm sure the way you wrote it as well, Shaf, is I feel like it's set for somewhere that's smaller and for people to just really be part of the show per se.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think at Live Brimlung as well, we pride ourselves on doing a lot of immersive, where you are transported into another world. And so the 80-seat theatre allowed us to do that. If we'd have done a 300-seat theatre, that magic would have been lost. But I think our ambition is to hopefully do longer runs so more people can see it and go towards the show, so that it's not just isolated. It doesn't feel like it's exclusive to KL or a certain audience within KL. We would like to tour to the rest of Malaysia and hopefully overseas as well. Fingers crossed.
There's a question from Eric Yee about black boxes. Have we considered black box? It's amazing that Josh and Badrika didn't get distracted with so many pairs of eyes watching so closely. And what's more, I saw interaction. It must be challenging. Why don't you guys talk a little bit about the actual interactions you had with certain members of the audience and how, because we only had a 2-hander, we had to make audience members supporting characters. Do you want to talk about that?
Sayang, you go first.
I lagi. Wow. Macam tu ah. This is how the relationship works, guys. Just saying. I think, I mean, challenging, yes, because it is my first time performing in a small setting whereby you are required to sort of break the fourth wall. It was designed to break the fourth wall and interact with the audience. But coming back to the previous question about the how do we stay in character and all. Having that, embodying that person and understanding where that person is coming from, having that interaction was actually quite helpful. Because you are feeding whatever that you're giving out as that character, you are feeding the audience what's going through in your mind and what you're feeling. And whatever they react, is also purely instinctual for how they would normally react. And from there, you can feed off as well. And I find that really organic in a sense, and it made it very much more exciting as a performer because you get to play and you don't have to worry so much about, to get it right all the time. You are permitted to play with the audience. And that was actually, I wouldn't say it's a challenge, it's actually a fun thing to do.
It's more like an experiment, right? Because you get something new every night. Like, you don't know what to expect. Like, for example, if we know there are friends and family in the audience as well, but Shaf won't tell us who sits where. We go in with our eyes down, our hearts are in the Sepet world. And when you open up your eyes and see who's in the audience, it just becomes one. Everything becomes one. And you see the supporting characters or the audience members, and now you're supporting characters. And like Josh said about the energy, like it's exciting, but based on what you get off them, it's either like you're intimidated or you're excited or you're unsure, like how do I play this out? And every night it's the same story but with a different reaction, and it's always so exciting because you don't know what you're going to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think let's direct to another question that we missed from Aminuddin Sayu. What themes aspect did you consider when coming up with the choreography? So this is obviously for Hannah. Hannah, are you there? Presenting Hannah Shields.
We've gone backstage.
Drum roll. No, just backstage, that's all. Come back on, Hannah. Okay, let's move on to another question first.
Okay. Oh, they're back.
With okay, choreo.
Now.
Good,
Yes.
we're back. Can we suggest that we maybe watch some of the dance, then we can comment on that afterwards? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I know there's a few questions on that.
Yeah.
You guys are so cute. You know, there were so many audiences members who's like, I knew he was a dancer.
So let's talk a little bit about the dance, which was created back in July, August, when we rehearsed it first together. So there are a few dance moments and waltz within Sepet the Musical itself, but this is, I guess, the main dance number, and it starts Act 2. And it starts when Jason and Orchid go for their date at the cinema, and then this kind of Broadway-esque ballet ensues between the pair of them. So I think for me, choreographing it, there was obviously no dance in the original film, so it was all about enhancing and bringing out Jason and Orchid's emotions about what they might feel about each other and be too scared to say in the dance. So that's why it's very playful. And I also wanted to echo the film references within the actual script and within the dialogue and the film also. So the references to Kung Fu, the references to John Woo films. And so that's why a lot of the motions and the movements may be quite angular or have almost like a Tai Chi feel. I did go to a few classes to try and incorporate that in my practice. But I guess over to you. How did dancing feel to you? What comments do you have about the choreography and bringing dance to Jason and Orchid's life?
I think like watching it again, and I've told you this, my first reaction was, oh, it looks so much better than I thought in my head. The whole time I was just worrying about it and watching, I was like, spatial awareness. And yeah, you could feel like people trying to like move their legs back or move their chairs back, but we're just trying to tell our story. And when I look at myself again, I realized how much I was enjoying it in the moment. My head was somewhere else. When we were rehearsing, Hannah, Josh, you knew like how worried I was about this, because I know like we're telling the story using a different element, and like you said, it's not in the movie, but we're bringing it in and making it, like, using it as a tool to make their relationship and their connection stronger. So I was so worried, like, I want to do this justice. I don't want it to just be like, we're just going to put a dance in there because this is Sepet the Musical. We're telling a story. And so I just remember what you said, like putting your heart into it. And I think my favorite moment of the dance, like Josh, is like the trust that we have with each other. And I know that you would always catch me no matter what. And there are moments when I would turn and Hannah, I would see you and I was like, you know, you give me that little wink, and that just like that gives me so much confidence as well. But I love the dance so much, and it was a really great thing to add to the story. Like it was all about the connection and the story.
Yeah. I think on my half, because I started watching a lot of MGM musical movies. Yes. Hannah, musical movies
Fangirling.
when I started uni, and that's when I got exposed to this movie musical section, and there was sort of like a recipe or Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, and Gene Kelly. Or this. There was sort of a recipe. There is always a balletic transcendent moment where they kind of like tell the story or whatever their struggles or their love for each other in the form of dance. And yeah, and bringing that into Sepet, I think it sort of elevates it to another dimension of emotion emotional understanding, because it's not just through verbal, it's not just verbally, it's not just through actions or facial expression, but this is a body language, and translating their relationship into movement was I feel it was a breath of fresh air, and to start off Act 2 basically. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing it actually.
Good. I'm really glad. And a big congratulations and shout to you because you worked in a traverse stage, which means there's audiences on both sides. So it was all choreographed in the round, which is difficult to achieve. And also shout out to Badrish, who composed that music. And again, it's no mean feat to choreograph music solely for dance without kind of having any lyrics. So well done, and here he is.
Hi, Badrish.
Thanks, Hannah.
Tell us, Badrish, how it was like composing a song like that for Sepet the Musical.
Well, the perspective I took for that was not really the musical theatre style. It was more of the film music kind of styles. And I think that's what made it so different in some ways, because people might expect dance and musical theatre to have big jazz hands, flashy music, instrumentations and all that. But this one was so subtle, and it had its own like path and story to it, which was just really fun to do, honestly. And with I listened to a lot of Yasmin Ahmad's adverts, and mainly the adverts, because the music in the adverts were quite really good, because it was telling a story, and that was the purpose of this whole thing. So that dance really told a story with them doing the movements, the choreography, and the music going into play together.
So while you're here, actually, Badrish, there's a question from Anis Taufik, which says, what role does nostalgia play in Sepet? Is it too soon to reminisce about the 2000s? Which I think is a really, really clever question. Thank you, Anis. Hannah and I were discussing about this because we released an episode on our podcast called about adaptations in general. And we actually find that there is an optimum time gap between now and the past that allows for things to be revived. I think why Sepet the Musical worked was actually the noughties is just the right amount of time. The movie is still so imprinted in some people's heads, but there are some new younger Malaysians that haven't never heard of it before. So it was a great way to extend Yasmin Ahmad's legacy, which was always the point. I think it's a good place to kind of maybe pivot to a little bit earlier in the show. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna stream this little guy. Okay. It's not working. Hello. Hello. Okay. Okay, it's not working. Well, screw the technology. Or you can see. Okay, but I wanted to talk about Just Breathe, Badrish. So you know that song, Just Breathe?
Yeah.
You composed that, and it's so beautiful. And I think maybe it's a time for us to talk about the distinction between our musical styles. So my composing style is really musical theater. It's very narrative-y. It's quite extra. I think my influences are quite Indian and quite Bollywood-y. How do you think that differs from your musical style?
I think in composing, I was sort of, I wouldn't say trained, but I was taught how to write music in the style of kind of folk songs and pop music in some ways. But I've also been into musical theater since a very young age. So fusing the two together created quite a mood-setting modern sound compared to yours, which is very heavily into narrative and really, yeah, like you said, into like Bollywood, like really, I would say advanced scales and notes and intervals, in my opinion. I don't know if
Oh,
Wai Leong would.
stop
I don't know if Wai
it.
Leong would. I don't know if Wai Leong would agree with me on that. But some of your intervals and some of your compositions are quite hard to sing, so I commend you on
Thank
that.
you.
But
Thank
mine
you.
is more like Just Breathe would be, for example, we look at Breathe, it would be very not like heavily narrative, but more of emotions and trying to show how the characters really feel on the inside instead of what saying it on the outside, like just saying it blatantly out to the audience. It's more of metaphors and sounding almost fairy tale like in some ways.
So I'm gonna play the song for everyone to listen to, and then we can talk about it together. I love this bit because I guess the photo booth in the original film was so iconic that we had to somehow capture it, and it was so hard to do it without any set. I can see all the things that we could do. My mind and my heart are occupied with memories of you. All I know about love is your touch, is your embrace. I just wish I could get out of this place, this state of mind that I can't find. Just look at how captivated all the audience members are. Josh, you look great. And so do you, Badrika. I'm so in love with you. I'm so in love with you. Are you proud of yourself, Badrish?
I am. I have to say I am.
And this moment was from the iconic kind of bridge scene in Sepet, which is also the film poster in certain instances. Okay, we'll stop there. So, Wai Leong, what can I ask you a question, if you don't mind, Mr. Wai Leong? We originally decided when we were going to orchestrate the show, I think you had maybe had a bigger band in mind, and I kind of was really insistent that we just led with the guitar because I wanted to keep that. By the way, that's my sister. She's the designer of the set. Scurrying across. But yeah, I was really insistent that we led only with the guitar. What is your opinion on that? Like, do you think that was the right decision? And how was it like?
Definitely think after looking at the set and the size of the audience and everything, it was a much better decision to just keep it very simple instrumentation wise, right? Also, Badrish, I think you composed a lot of the music on the piano, and then which I had to translate onto the guitar, and it worked really well. It somehow came out very that folky sound that you wanted to achieve. We managed to achieve that together with the cast, and also
you know, why can I just say something?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. But you know, in the beginning, you were joking about how you were leading the show and that you were a character. I actually very, very seriously think that the guitar was a huge character in the story, because you know you were the ones that, for example, with the click of that camera and you hitting the guitar, like that is a really, really special moment, and there's something really like intimate and beautiful about, like, it's like a third voice, like almost like an all-knowing voice that was guiding the characters forward. I think you were phenomenal, and you couldn't play in the last week of the show. And Badrish obviously amazingly stepped in, and we love you, Badrish, for that. But yeah, you were missed for sure, because the guitar, I think it's huge. Yeah.
He was destiny,
It
you
was
know?
Yuan Yen Fin.
Say, I don't want to pronounce it wrong.
Sorry, Wai Leong, I interrupted you. Go. What were you saying? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think we managed to find a really good balance between musical theater sound and also a film sound. Having it a film adaptation into theater, we really needed to find that balance to not make it too like show tune Broadway, and bring it a little more down to earth, more grounded film kind of sound, and we managed to achieve that, I think, hopefully.
I think it's the understanding of the whole team. Like, all of us understand each other's styles and how we would like work. So it was also quite great that we got to compose after casting Badrika and Joshua in the characters. So for Shaf and I, we could write the music based on the characters that they chose to play as Orchid and Jason, and not looking at the film and being like, oh, so this is how they act, so we have to write in this specific way, because they might have a different take on it. So that was quite an advantage for us, and I loved having that advantage. And Wai Leong coming in with that understanding that Shaf and I have different styles allowed him to. I think that's what made it easy for you to get that folk style when you're playing the compositions I did, and Shaf's own style when you played his songs and arranged them. So yeah, it's that understanding between us, which is great. Honestly.
There's a question from Eric about Jao, which is, I think, the song that, I don't know, I can tear up. I can tear up thinking about
Me
the
too,
song.
me too.
And honestly, Badrish, it's such a huge testament to you. Hannah and I just had a conversation about this other day. For an 18-year-old boy, you have written words that are way beyond not only your years, but our years. The level of sophistication, and I don't know, man, I'm so proud to be calling you my brother, man. Like, honestly, that song is incredible. But we will get to it. Before that, I want to talk to you, talk about my favorite song in the show called Jason. Oh, yeah. Sorry, go on.
Can we just give this guy credit for actually guessing the name of the song? He's like, I
saw that.
How did you know the song was called Jao? It could be called.
Oh my god.
Something. Go on.
No, because I think Jao became quite like, I know all my colleagues at work, whenever they looked at me, they're like, Jao. It became quite like something you took away from the experience.
It's the final line. It's the final part lines that are sung at the end of the show.
It's just huge testament to you, Badr. So hats off. Okay, I'm going to move on to Jason's letter, which is my favorite. I'm going to bring in Joshua and Badrika. So we'll say bye to you for a bit. Okay, Wai Leong and Badrish. Miss Badrika and Miss Joshua. So this is my favorite song in the show, and there's a reprise at the end which we'll also play. But I don't know where I came up with this melody maybe a few years ago, and it was, I guess, inspired by, I think, romances in the past, or like, intense love stories. I just think you do this incredibly well. I'm going to play it just so the world can see again how amazing you are as performers. Are you guys ready?
Yes, you are.
So what's just happened? She's receiving a letter after.
I love this perspective, like this angle. I could never imagine it because I was reading the letter.
I've been waiting for you. You took so long. I've been craving for you. Things in the past, they don't go away. I thought they wouldn't last, but they're here to stay. I need to tell you about Maggie, a previous slave that had burned me. Oh, how the way that she hurt me. How I ran the extra mile. I need to tell you about Maggie. One Friday evening, she begged me. I haven't been honest with you lately. And now she has my child. You know,
I love the way your
Last
letter
night.
dropped. It's just so beautiful.
But Jimmy,
So what do we think of that so far?
Why do you feel heavy? I'm not even like in the moment right now.
Joshua, I think the phrasing of those words were quite difficult, right? Can you talk a bit about that? Like, I know I try to cram in loads of like syllables into certain phrases. Was that difficult for you? I'm sorry.
No, I think learning it was a bit tricky because I mean the time signature, I couldn't get the time signature because it changes sometimes. But having it played live, obviously, then you can really, you can really have complete freedom with it, a color voce with it. So and at the end of the day, it's fine. It was actually okay. It was not as complicated as you thought it was. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna.
And we also said, I guess, once we rewatched it, how exhausting it must have been to go through this every night. Maybe Badrika, you can talk about that and how you went through the love story in all the trials and tribulations of it for 3 weeks and how that felt.
So one second, let me just play this and then we'll get to the exhaustion bit because.
I'm already exhausted.
I'm really, really hard right now.
Yeah, I just remember having this part, like you have that voice up here and you're like
building up, right? And then like
regurgitating it out.
up here and it's coming up. Oh god.
I'm a man with a past he can't erase, with a heart that's out of place, for a girl he has embraced.
Ooh, girl, growl. Ah.
I don't know why, but in that moment, I just felt so angry at you.
Well, you should.
I think it's one of my favorite sequences of us together.
You like being angry at me, don't you?
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm like, I don't know about you, but my chest is feeling the emotions that like I felt when we were doing the show.
Yeah. I remember this is one of the. I personally think this was one of the hardest scene to get into because. Yeah, because finally, as Jason, finally the truth came out. Finally he, she found out, what he's hiding out from her, and secrets are scary that way. And when secrets are revealed, not coming from you yourself, it's even scarier because how are you gonna explain yourself? So
but going back to what you said about like Shaf was asking about the lyrics and the meaning behind it, I think you were singing it to me and I was reading the letter, and obviously I had the words on the letter. And you know how, like when you read something and you imagine how the person would say it, and for me it was like having you saying it to me, and all I couldn't think about anything else. I couldn't see anything else. All I heard was you. And that was like what hit so hard that I just can't, like, even though like watching the video, like it's like it's tunnel vision. I only see and hear you, and that like brings about like very powerful and overwhelming emotions, and it's stuck there. It's stuck there until there's some sort of release, and which is why when we sing it out, it's it's like the you and I looking at each other, it was so strong, and it was so painful and so powerful at the same time. Yeah.
And I think on my side is also that finally admitting it, but at the same time it's also finding a different approach to not to not paint the situation too badly. That no, it's also because he's saying things like, I'm a man who with a past he cannot erase. So it's that point of like trying to justify that whatever actions that I did or Jason did there is a reason behind it. So, and it was very hard to actually say those words at the same time because it feels like a cop out, rather than just completely admitting your mistakes. And you're trying to justify yourself, and then having you sing back that you're just a boy.
Just like any other guy.
One of those boys, and the other guys are like, no, you don't understand. So, yeah. Hello, you're back.
I'm really, really, really proud of that song. I like, if I could maybe rank the best songs I've written, I think that would be up there. I think I like the modulations between the different verses, and I like the man going into boy, I think. And well, just thank you so much for, making my songs fly, guys. Thank you so much. I love you. Are you guys ready for the Shajahan, the last one?
Yes, I'm gonna cry. It's not good.
Hiding behind the mic.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look down.
I'll try to bring everyone if it doesn't screw up the screening. Okay, so I'm gonna bring everyone in, and we're all going to watch as Eric has requested. I can't bring everyone in when. Oh, Jesus Christ! Okay.
While you're dealing with the tech, can I just give a big compliment out to everybody, which is from Eric, which says, totally agree that the pure acoustic guitar instrumentation makes the whole piece so close.
No, it's me. Hello.
I can't seem to get Mr. Okay. Laptop screen. Got it. There you go. We got it, girls.
Yeah.
Let me get Joshua in. Okay. I think it's because
taking deep breaths now.
It was my fault. I get it, okay? I never think.
Can we hear it?
Yeah.
I live life like a movie, thinking that it will last. I was the hero at the start, but now I'm just the past. You put in the effort all this time. It's my fault, I'm far behind. Joe.
I have nothing to say. There's nothing left to do. I thought he was the one who was different. I feel empty inside. He feels like a stranger.
Spot the criers in the audience.
He's a good person, I know, but I can't let him go. We put in the effort all this time, but this has changed the storyline.
Just breathe and tell her how you feel. Just breathe and tell her how you truly feel. feel. Just breathe and tell her how you feel. Just
Deflated balloons, men who act like cartoons. Our story ends soon. I'm moving on. I'm gonna start my life now. But it's hard 'cause I still can.
Don't let me go. It's hard to live without you. Just give me a chance to show you who I really am. What do I do?
Tiga saja. What can we say, guys? It was, I don't know, I personally feel that was it is one of the toughest songs, also because I am no tenor, guys. But
Sorry.
no. But no, I'm so glad that you changed that key, because it helped me to reach that vulnerable point as well of that range. Yeah. And especially when it goes into the what have I done now? That line is at the very vulnerable passage. And then it's just a nice flip there. So I really enjoyed this song, really. I really enjoyed this song, Badrish. It was tough because I had that crazy monologue with the mother, and anything to do with mothers, anything to do with mother, it kills me. So I'm always crying at the final. I was like, okay, sing.
I know.
Yeah,
But I think, yeah. I think
Badrish?
you're talking about the key. You're talking about the key and how at first I wrote it was really high, like the key up. And then we brought it down a lot more. And then we found that middle ground, which had that warmth and that, like you said, the vulnerability there, which is really important, because like mixing the warmth and vulnerability is like contradicting like how people would feel, and that's what makes I think people sort of empathize with you in some ways in both of your characters. Yeah, that was fun though. Try and figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we are wrapping up, is it? You need to unmute. Unmute it, Shaf. Yeah. Okay, as for, I think we need to wrap up soon. Everyone else who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. We will just wrap up with a few things. But thank you so much for tuning in. I know we didn't get through all the questions, and I think we will answer the questions in the comments itself. So yeah. Will this stay live on Facebook? Shaf? Or regardless, we will try our best to answer it on YouTube itself, and also if on Facebook if possible. Yes. Thank you so much. Yep.
Shaf, we got...
Yeah. And if you have any other questions, please do so on Instagram, on Facebook. We will check in, and then we will also answer the questions. And yeah, we're very appreciative for for you taking your time to tune into us ramble about the show.
Get overwhelmed. Seriously overwhelmed. Oh god.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Shaf, are you there? Shaf, Hannah? Okay, so I think final thoughts. I'm very glad that I got the call from Liver and Lung. I was in a hospital at that time, waiting for appointment and medication for full blood test. And I got this Facebook message from Shafeeq. I'm like, what is this? And like, Sepet. Oh, okay. And then I got a call, and he called me and said, "Oh, we're doing it in September." I said, "Oh, okay, September 2020." No, September 2019. And that call happened in July. I was like, so yeah, but regardless, I'm so glad that I had the chance to do it. It's really close to my heart. It's something I'm very invested in, and I couldn't ask for a better team, and I couldn't ask for a better scene partner. Thank you so much, Badrika. Yeah.
No, thank you, Josh. I think it's the same for me as well. Like, it was a blessing when Shaf called and mentioned Sepet. And I've worked with Liv and Lang, Shaf and Hannah, and Wai Leong and Masuri. And it was an amazing show as well. And it was an amazing experience working together. We became so close. And then we went our own ways, went to discover ourselves. And then we came back. And yeah, it's just, I think the best part about Sepet is us, like the story that Yasmin Ahmad created. Like, thank you so much to her. If I could tell her thank you, I would. And the values that she's given us, that I've grown up with those values, and us working together to bring that to the stage. And like you said, Josh, like, I couldn't have done it without you, and I couldn't have done it without the team. I couldn't have asked for a better team, guys.
Yeah. So best thing about Sepet, I think for me, is really the camaraderie among everyone else. The working relationship with everyone. It was a very it was a very open, not pressure in the sense that we have a very short time to learn everything. Yes, there's pressure there, but it was because everyone was so comfortable with each other. We can just voice our opinions and then just piece things together, and and just work off each other. And everyone was just playing their role at the same playing field. No one has higher precedence than the other, and that was, I think, my favorite experience about Sepet. Besides the story and Yasmin Ahmad being a Malaysian gem. Yep. Anything, Badrika?
Yeah, I'm just very happy.
Okay. All right. So I think we're gonna wrap up this session. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your time, spending with us tonight. Subscribe to our YouTube, to the Liver and Lang YouTube channel, and if you're not following Liver and Lang on Instagram, do that as well. It's liver_and_lang. Okay, and also their Facebook channel, which is Liver and Lang Productions. So yes, thank you so much again. Good night, everybody. It will still be on YouTube up to the 7th of May. So watch it as many times as you want. Spread the news, and and hopefully we can do this again. Fingers crossed. All right.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.